Who's your top 3 favorite bands of all time?
Credence is definitely in there. He's my favorite songwriter of all time, Fogerty.
Okay.
I'll go with one newer, because I would probably pick all music that, a lot older than most people listen. I mean, well,
doesn't matter.
I love the Deftones are probably my favorite rock band that's still actively touring and making music. And the Beatles. I couldn't.
Really? The Beatles?
Yeah, well, Paul and I mean, those guys are just no one. They wrote songs so well that no one has learned how to write them that well yet. It's insane that how good they were in every aspect of music writing, that in the 50 years since, no one has touched it as far as quality goes. They're just on a different level. It's like listening to Beethoven. Like I love it, but I don't understand it. It's beyond me.
Right.
And so those would probably be the 3 I would pick, but there's so many like A and B's of those, and it would be really hard for me to narrow that down to 50, so because then you start thinking, oh, what about, Zeppelin, or what about Nirvana? Oh, dude, I love Alice in Chains. Oh, what about that? And it could go on forever. And then that's not even touching on hip hop.
Yeah.
It's too hard. But if I had to name 3, that would probably be it off the top of my head.
And who introduced you to Creedence?
My dad. My dad was like, he had a huge vinyl collection. And so he collected records and from when he was young, and he had a lot of those OG records, and he had a vinyl player, and we didn't have any money when we didn't have any. So we had 2 choices, was to go outside, or I could sit there, and he had these old headphones, and I would sit there and listen to music. So if I was in the house, we didn't have a TV, none of that stuff. So that was it was reading. I could read, I could listen to music, or I could go outside and raise hell. So when I wasn't raising hell, which was I typically preoccupied myself with, I was listening to his old albums. And, all obscure ones too. Like he loved Frank Zappa and Captain Beefheart, and all these like guys love these dudes out there. And then obviously the more, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and he loved the Ramones, and, the Talking Heads, just different bands. So I would absorb this stuff. A lot of it was beyond my understanding at the time, but I'll always remember where even as a young kid, you're like, dude, this you knew something was special about the Beatles even then.
And how'd you get introduced to the Deftones?
Well, as I kind of left, I started going to school and stuff. Obviously you start getting influenced by what younger people or people my age, my peers, were listening to. And so that was like the Deftones and Wu-Tang were like the 2 bands when I was in like middle school that I was like, yo, this is the shit. And, from Wu-Tang, I kind of got in. I really liked East Coast hip hop for a long time. This was in the 90s too, when that was bad, because they had the West Coast versus East Coast thing.
The beef, man.
Yeah, the beef. So, but Wu was always dope. Everybody liked Wu-Tang, but, Rakim and all those guys coming out of the East Coast, and then, obviously you had Dre and all those dudes on the West Coast with that stuff. And then the Deftones, that was just one of those bands where like I had never emotionally responded to music like that. Right. It was just so heavy and deep that you're just like, fuck, it's almost unpleasant at first because there's so much being unpacked. But Chino had a huge influence on like how I looked at music, and it wasn't something to be taken lightly. And, that was the way his stories were so vivid and stuff. Even if I didn't understand it, I could almost paint the picture still. So I really liked him lyrically. And yeah, that was probably just from being out in the world, and that's what people were listening to. So I checked it out. And there was a lot of stuff I listened to that I was like, nah. But the Deftones and Wu-Tang were the 2 that I was like, okay, this is the truth. At
this point, you've done a lot. You've lived an amazing life. You still have more to come. It's like,
but it's all downhill.
No, I don't mean it like that. I mean, like you were a punk ass kid when we met, compared to where you are right now.
Now I'm a punk ass old man.
You're an adult. You have kids.
It's fucked up.
What makes you want to write?
Life, obviously then I didn't have kids. My life was, I was just doing drugs and living, just being insane. And now, I'm an adult with 3 children, and, so even though the circumstances change, it certainly, you don't run out of things to write about, your concerns and the things you write about might shift. But yeah, I mean, I just write about life, and, even if you're even slightly interested in the world, in other people's lives, there's still tons to write about. Not everything has to be centric to my life. I'm not that egotistical that it's that important, but you look at other people's wins and losses and what's going on in the world, and if you're involved, I mean, there's no shortage of material in this day and age. There's fucking plenty of it. So I just pay attention, and it usually comes to me, the stuff I like to write anyway.
We did a solo album.
Uh-huh.
You had a song that I lost my mom in 2020. And for some reason, it felt like you did as well. And I just wanted to get your take on why you did that song.
I'm sorry about your mom. Do you know which song it is?
All I can remember is you're walking through the house and you find a picture.
Heaven Can Wait are all gonna. I mean,
it's Heaven Can Wait.
Heaven Can Wait. Yeah, that was about my childhood and kind of exercising some of those demons and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the whole album for me was really just about, as you get older, as everybody knows, you kind of accumulate losses. And, when you're young, you have that innocent, you haven't been touched by even, well, maybe the first time your dog dies, you kind of get the feeling, oh shit, this isn't a cakewalk. And then it just gets worse because then you start losing friends and your position. I lost he was my stepdad, but he's the one who raised me. And you start accumulating those losses. Yeah. And you have to realize that the innocence kind of goes away and stuff. And I guess that whole record was really just about that transition of being young and reckless and not knowing that there's anything at stake. And that's a beautiful thing. And kids should cherish that as long as they can. I tell my kids all the time, enjoy this while you can. Not that it's going to be horrible, but, the shit starts to hit the fan.
Well, we're not invincible. When we're younger,
no,
we really feel like there's what? I want to do that. Well, you can't do that. How? I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, you can do anything, which is a great attitude to keep if you can. It's hard because life will beat you out of it. But if you can keep that adventurous spirit and, because people really, I believe, can do just about anything, but except live forever. And that's what we all have to deal with eventually.
Yep. No doubt. No doubt at all. 3 bands that are brand new that are out there that you got something triggered it for you. You got
3 new bands I like?
Yeah. 3 new.
Okay. Well, I don't know if these are new to other people. I'm usually fairly behind. I'll post something about a band. They're like, yo, that's fucking 4 years old, dumbass old man. So one of my favorites now is 0936.
Yeah.
He's my boy, but I had never heard of him until last year. And our manager's like, hey, do you want to collab with this dude? And I was like, probably not. And then I listened to his stuff and I was like, whoa, I hadn't heard it. He has this mixture of, he's so good at the rock thing, but also super good at the rap. He sounds at home in both. It's very I don't know. The quality was crazy. That blew me out of the water. He's definitely one of my newer favorites. His buddy, he's a producer, but he also is an artist. And most people probably haven't heard of him. He's called No Love for the Middle Child. I met him because he's a producer, but he has his own music too. And he's on tour now, but that's more of an alternative rock thing.
Okay.
No Love for the Middle Child, but he's probably, the guy plays cello and violin. He came over to my house to do some work. And I got a piano that I don't know fuck all about. And this kid starts playing the 7th Symphony. I'm just like, dude, fuck this guy. It pissed me off a little because he's too good. And he's young and he's hot. And I'm just like, you son of a bitch.
Jealous.
Yeah, just every emotion, envy, hatred, wanting to kill him, No, he's super talented. And he writes the great stuff. So No Love for the Middle Child. That one's a little more obscure. There's another new band called Solence that I really like. They're from Sweden or Switzerland, I believe Sweden, Solence. And that was another band I never collabed with them, but our managers hit us up and I listened. I was like, yo, these guys are awesome. So I know everybody knows who Zero is for the most part, but Solence and No Love for the Middle Child are 2 bands that are on the cusp that people might hear of eventually. I think they will, that I really like.
I'm writing them down because
Yeah.
I'm gonna look them
Solon's is
up.
dope. They were out here. They played like Blue Ridge last year, so they're trying to get their feet in, the U.S. territory and stuff, which I know because we've gone. It took us like 10 years to go to Europe and like make it work. Can always be really hard on a band because it's just so expensive and no one's paying you anything. So
Right.
it's always hard breaking a territory. But they're trying out here, and I think they'll do it. They're super good at what they do. So I hope they do.
We'll try and help them now that we know about them. That helps.
That's what's so cool about you guys. You don't just play the big stuff. You let the little men get a chance. The little guy.
It's about all the music. That's what it's about. Well, all I'm going to do right now is keep telling the world how they need to listen to you guys and they need to appreciate you. And when you come to town, like our town, on October 17th, we're going to be there to welcome you.
Well, I can't wait to see everybody. We'll go get coffee or something too. We got to do, or maybe we'll just kick it at this new venue and soak it in.
Christen it. I keep saying that. We need to christen it.
For us, that means beating off in the bathroom for the first time.
All right. I don't think I need to be there. I'll sit
it's
that one out.
Only. It's a circle thing. It's a long story.
I'll sit that one out. Now, I'm going to give you one chance, a couple of chances if you want to. You get all kinds of stupid questions, like ridiculous. You get bothered doing interviews like this all the time. Do you ever want to interview someone? You want to ask some questions?
Dude, I always thought one time we were doing we were doing the music video for the song called We Are. It was off of our third record. Yeah. And they had this dude from Revolver, I think, there. And then my buddy Corey was doing the interviews, and Corey used to work in the porn industry. He's a weird, seedy background. And so the guy was listening to him talk and then listening to me talk. He's like, you know what? Why don't you interview him? Because he was much more interesting than what I had to say. And I enjoyed that. It was funny. And we used to do a thing where I would talk to fans. I would take a fan backstage, 2 fans, and interview them about how they got in the band, what their life was like and stuff like that. I absolutely adored it. But no one gave a shit. So they said, because we were putting them on YouTube and stuff. And unfortunately, no one really cared that much. But I love doing it. So, yeah, I would interview anybody because people are interesting, They are. If you get the time and just listen to someone, you learn so much about life and about yourself, too. It doesn't, the funny thing is people think it has to be some media personality, like a band guy or an actor or one of these douchebags. The best stories I ever heard came, I used to kick it with these homeless dudes. There's a liquor store in Hollywood called Playboy Liquor that we used to drink out of because they would sell us beer when we weren't old enough.
Right.
We go hang out with all the homeless dudes because there's this empty parking lot and the cops wouldn't bother you because they had bigger fish to fry. So we'd just hang out there and drink. Best stories I ever heard were from these dudes. Those guys are the ones who really have something to talk about with life. Instead of I got to watch fucking Matt Damon talk about a movie again. It's oh, fuck. There's way more. There's so much cool shit out there going on. You don't need to interview some millionaire who doesn't know what life is anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand what you mean. Okay, where is home for you right now in your heart?
Isn't home is where the heart is, or is it heart is where the home is? I don't know.
I'm not trying to use one of those sayings. I'm just seriously, I'm asking because it matters. In your heart right now, what feels like home? It can be a location. It can be a smell. It can be, like when you walk into your parents' house and it had that smell.
The garage. Yeah, I remember. I'll always remember the garage smell. I mean, anywhere my kids are. It's not, that's all I care about now is being with them and stuff. So wherever they're at, that's home to me.
And that's all that matters.
Those little bastards.
Hopefully you'll pave the path and you can say, I invented this shit. That's what you need to tell them.
Don't want them to see me pass out drunk. That's my goal every day.
We'll keep working on it.
I do the small steps first.
Baby steps?
Yeah. Don't fall down the stairs. Don't fall down the stairs.
We're going to keep spreading the word. I'm going to let you go, let you do your thing. And
well, it's always a pleasure talking to you. And I can't wait to see you in what we got about 2 months.
Yeah. We'll just keep pushing it, load that place up. And you just be safe, and we'll see you in October.
Okay, you too. And it was nice talking to you. I'll talk to you soon, but I'll see you in a couple months.
Okay. Bye now.
Sophia.